Some nights do not begin with thunder or prophecy. Some nights begin quietly, so quietly that you don't realize the world has shifted until it's already too late to turn back. For Elias, it was the kind of night that slipped between the cracks. Cold air, wet pavement, and the faint hum of a city half asleep. A night like a held breath. A night with teeth hidden in the dark. He moved through the streets like a ghost wandering his own life. Eyes lowered, mind drifting through old regrets and half-formed memories that clung to him like damp clothes. He didn't expect anything to happen. He didn't expect anything at all. But the strange things in this world rarely ask for permission. It began with a flicker. A single lantern burning in an alley where no lantern should have been. Too warm, too bright, its glow breathing softly like a creature waiting to be noticed. Elias felt it before he truly saw it. A tug beneath the ribs, a whisper in the chest calling him closer. And though he could not explain why, his feet moved toward the light. The moment he crossed into the alley, the air shifted. It grew thick, heavy, as though he had stepped through an invisible curtain woven from old magic. The shadows changed shape first, then the light, then the walls themselves, stretching silently, like they were waking from centuries of sleep. By the time Elias realized the world had changed, the alley was gone. Before him lay a place untouched by time, a place that existed only in the hours when mortals slept and the forgotten wandered free. The night market of lost souls. Lanterns floated overhead like silent gods, their light bending in unnatural colors. Blues that hummed, reds that flickered with heartbeats, gold that whispered as it drifted. Stalls stretched far into the darkness, lit by candles that refused to burn out. Figures in cloaks moved through the aisles, faces hidden, voices echoing like old secrets. And yet, the market felt strangely familiar, as if Elias had dreamed of it once as a child, and forgotten only because the world demanded he grow up. He walked forward. At the first stall, a woman worked in near silence, her fingers pulling shimmering threads from a basin filled with dark water. Memories. Not his, not anyone's. Memories of lives never lived. Possibilities that once existed in the spaces between choices. She watched Elias with eyes that glowed faintly. "Choose a thread," she whispered, her voice like silk dragging across stone. "I will show you who you could have been, if only one moment had broken differently." He touched a thread, and for a breath, he saw himself standing on a cliffside, wind in his hair, a life full of brightness he had never tasted. The vision vanished the moment he pulled his hand away. The loss felt sharp, like waking from a dream too beautiful to bear. He moved on. At the next stall, the air shook with metallic screams. A blacksmith stood over an anvil, hammering molten shapes that writhed as if alive. Sins, mistakes, regrets made physical. "I can take one from you," the regret smith growled, not looking up. "But the cost will cleave deeper than the regret itself." Elias felt something cold brush his spine. He kept walking. The third stall was lined with jars filled with swirling golden clouds. The merchant smiled with too many teeth. "Joy," he said softly. "Borrowed. Bottled. Stolen. A single breath of it will warm your heart. But when the jar empties, the absence leaves you colder than before." Elias stepped back. But the market was not done with him. At the far end, past the glowing stalls, past the murmuring figures, past the drifting smoke, stood a single booth swallowed almost entirely by darkness. A lone lantern burned above it, its flame unnaturally still. Elias felt it, a pull deeper than curiosity, a gravity older than the market itself. Something in that darkness was waiting for him, and only him. He stepped closer. An elderly vendor sat behind the stall, motionless, as though carved from old stone. When he lifted his eyes, Elias felt the world hush. The vendor opened a small box and revealed a brass key resting on the black velvet. Its metal glowed faintly, with a warmth that did not belong in the cold night. "I sell only one thing," the vendor said, his voice low, resonant, inhuman. "The life you could have lived." The world around Elias blurred, lights warping, colors twisting as the vendor placed 2 fingers near his forehead. Reality cracked. Visions poured in. Not dreams, not illusions, but truths from a path Elias never took. A partner's hand intertwined with his. A home carved from laughter. A child's voice echoing down a sunlit hall. Adventures across oceans and mountains. A version of himself who stood tall, unbroken, unafraid. He saw himself healed, fulfilled, alive in a way he had never been. The vision shattered. Elias gasped, staggering. The vendor slid the key toward him. "You may claim this life," he whispered, "but nothing in this market is free." A golden scale appeared between them, trembling softly. "You must trade something of equal weight. A memory you hold dear. A memory that roots you to the life you know." Elias saw it instantly. The memory the vendor meant. A face he cherished. A moment that anchored him, even when darkness tried to pull him under. The one person whose presence had kept him alive. To gain the life he saw, he would have to forget them forever. Silence crawled across the stall like a living thing. Elias's hand hovered over the key. His heart pounded. The beautiful life glowed in the darkness, so close he could almost taste it. But the emptiness that would replace the memory, that void, that loss. The vendor watched him without blinking. "You already know your answer," he murmured. And Elias did. He let the key slip from his fingers and fall back into the box. His voice shook, but it did not break. "I will not trade their memory," he whispered. "Not even for a perfect life." The vendor closed the box gently, almost reverently. "Then your soul," he said, "is far stronger than you believe." The lantern above the stall flickered. The ground trembled. And the night market of lost souls began to unravel. One by one, the stalls dissolved into smoke. Lanterns blinked out. Figures faded like chalk washed by rain. Even the shadows loosened their grip as the world folded back into itself. And in a heartbeat, Elias stood alone in the alley once more. The rain falling softly, the city unchanged, except for him. He breathed in slowly, feeling the weight of the night still clinging to his bones like a warning and a promise. For the first time in years, the darkness around him didn't feel empty. It felt alive, watching, waiting, whispering that choices matter, even the ones no one else sees. Elias stepped out of the alley and into the night with new eyes. Some doors, once opened, never fully close again. Some markets, once visited, leave shadows behind. And some truths, once seen, change the shape of your future forever. Elias didn't know if the market would ever return. He didn't know if the vendor would call to him again, but he knew this. The life he had was still his to shape, and the memory he protected was worth more than any perfect world he could have traded for. He walked on, the street humming gently under the rain, the night watching quietly, and somewhere in the unseen spaces between worlds, a lantern flickered once, as if in acknowledgement.